Brother Ed, do I got you here?
You do.
Man, how's it going? You're on the heels of an unprecedented run in the draft, man.
It is it's all day one. Day one build up. I think everybody knows that draft grades don't mean much. It's all about what the players can do on the field. I know I've gotten some raving reviews about my picks that I've been able to make out there. We have given up a lot of talent to get these round one picks in general. But proud of what we've been able to do with it. Team's getting younger, and we'll see how this season goes.
I mean, what's going through your mind when you see a guy like Travion Henderson fall to 1-6 and you had Ginty? I mean, were you considering anybody else there? Did Tetero McMillan going 5 change anything? I mean,
I had my slip signed for Judkins already at 6. Thought Ward was going to be slipping down on boards a little bit. Thought we would go no QBs throughout a lot of the first round of the draft. But Noah ends up going Ward at the 4th, slides Tet to the 5th, and it gives you the option of the two Ohio State RBs at 6. And I think I like the Henderson landing spot better. Gets him connected, linked with Drake May. I know the Browns have an organization that loves to run the ball, but I like the Pats' direction, what they're building over there. I think Henderson, it might not be immediate, might not be a year one kind of blow up that we would like. I think future years, the Henderson play will pay out a little bit longer, but we will see. I want to give a shout out to you. I feel like you had a great draft going so far. We've been loving the picks you've been tossing out there. Always trying to give value. So just wanted to give a shout out to your draft as well.
Thanks, brother. I mean, it means a lot, man. I've been battling. When you go 3-25, you got to ask some tough questions.
Exactly. Us bottom folk need to rebuild and regroup heading into this season. I think we both are putting a lot of eggs in this 2025 draft basket.
No, you're right. I mean, when you get Jackson Dart at the 2-6,
that one is nice. I know I do have 2 mid-tier, I'd say, starting quarterbacks already. But when value is falling like that, it just gives a lot of flexibility for later on. If I want to move one of the QBs or a wide receiver later on, gives me the option to move Herbert or Love. I know I have Dart sliding into a starting spot here over the next couple of years. But I think that is my best pick of the draft. Chips fell where they may. I was able to snag him at the 206, and we'll see what he's able to do in New York.
I mean, do you have any grievances you want to air? Is there anybody, are there any teams out there that have maybe been talking a little shit, or any owners that you think, you'd like to chew into? This is the platform to do it. I'd love to set you up here to just take a swing at somebody. I mean, there's some low-hanging fruit out there, but let me give you the mic and let you call your shot.
As much as I would love to, it is really hard to talk shit when you just finished last in the league.
That's fair.
I don't want to be putting a target on my back before the comeback even starts, There's always trades to be made. You always want to be on the good sides of owners. You want it to be an open door policy. Everyone is welcome to jump in the room, jump on the phone lines. I don't think I want to be getting in anyone's bad graces here already.
That's fair.
At some point, if we start turning this thing around, I'll be the first to say I'm gonna be a front runner shit talker. If I'm coming in first, battling for a championship, I might be talking shit.
I mean, Steph Dillon.
That are doing poorly.
Steph Dillon did just take a shot at you in the chat. I'm sure you're on the road, so you can't see it.
I am on the road. I'm unable to be reading the comments.
I'll relay the comment for you. Stephen Dillon taking a shot at you again. This is a guy who finished, I think, maybe bottom 3, bottom 4. This is his word. These aren't my words. You know how I feel about you. He said you sound a little soft. I think that's total bullshit. But, if you want to take a shot at him, I'd love to give you the platform to do it. And I think you've put on a real masterclass in this draft. A lot of people are leaning heavy on what happened last year. Last year's over, Ev. Last year's over, and it's time for some of these guys to wake up. With that said, anything you got for Stephen Dillon? I mean, any grievances you want to air?
I mean, sometimes being the better person comes off as a little soft. I think taking the high road might make people presume that you're not willing to take a shot, not willing to dominate, not willing to absolutely step on someone's throat.
Yeah.
However, I think that all in all, I don't have any grievances with any owners. If Steph's throwing shots that there are some soft owners in the league, that it might come back and bite him in the end. I'll just say that.
Well,
I don't want to throw.
Oh, we lost you there for a second. Hold on.
But
yep, there you are.
Don't want to be tossing out any threats. I'm just saying, in the end, someone might be a little remissive and wish they hadn't said certain words.
Yeah, and I'll translate that. I'll translate that for you. He said, "Pack your fucking lunch, Stefan. He's coming for you." No, I think he's taking your kindness for weakness here, Ev. I've seen what you've built.
I agree.
I've seen what you've built over there at the Genty jurisdiction. I think you got something that's promising. Ev says he was just pulling your leg, or Stefan says he was just pulling your leg, Ev. It's all good and fun. It's
all fun and games. All fun and games here at the meat market.
You need a little shit talk. It's healthy.
A little bit about your drafts.
Sure.
Your first round today, you go Travis Hunter at the 2.
Yep.
I believe Judkins and Caleb Johnson to round out the first round. Is that correct?
That's spot on.
So we both go two RBs in the first round. How are we feeling about those 2 running backs between Judkins and Caleb?
I'm just hoping one hits. All right, I'm hoping one of these guys hits. If they both hit, it'd be awesome. I'm not counting on it, but I think they're going to get a lot of volume. I think Travis Hunter is going to be an absolute star, and I saw that early, and I sifted through the bullshit. Okay, there was a lot of talk going around early in the league of I wouldn't take Hunter with the 1.9, and Hunter's going to play DB. Well, it's crazy because I haven't heard anything from those same people who were saying that. So I went and got that 1-2, and I got my guy. And then, you can't go wrong with Judkins or Caleb Johnson. I think they're high floor guys. Ceiling might not be what Henderson or Hampton or Genty's are, but I'll take them. I'll take them for where I got them. What do you got brewing up here though in the 4th? I mean, do you have any more picks on the board? Is there any more players? Whether that's UDFA.
Unfortunately, I don't have any more picks left. There's chatter about trying to make a move, get into the 3rd. Jaden Blue was snagged early in the 3rd. Speaking of,
yep.
Steph sniping 2 picks right in front of Noah is it's tough looks for Noah.
That's cinema.
I will be honest, but I do love that Jaden Blue pick. I was gonna try to slide into the 3rd and grab him, but he went a little early. I don't know. I think I don't want to give up too much.
That's fair.
Value to get into this 4th. I mean, it's all dart throws. Speaking of dart throws,
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Call back.
So I think we'll just let the chips fall, see who's available on our undrafted list, and try to scour that to fill out the roster for the end of this draft, heading into our preseason.
I mean, you don't have to give up any names, but you've got to have a guy or two out there. There's a dart thrower or two you want to take, whether that's UDFA or maybe you're itching. The addict in you has considered acquiring a 4.10 at some point. You might not do it, but are there any guys out there for you that are still kind of piquing your interest a bit, or are you just are you even on everybody?
There are some guys for sure. I think when you look at the hit rates of certain positions when you're getting into later rounds and these dart throws, I think we all know that the RBs are going to hit when you're tossing out darts late into the rookie draft rounds. Taking QBs, taking tight end is tough when you're getting into this fourth undrafted kind of area. Obviously, there are hits, but hit rate is going to be a lot less there. So I think there's some running backs I'm looking at. As you said, I'm not going to be throwing out any names, not giving anyone any ideas. I don't think people would be using my draft lists anyways. But there are some names that I'll be looking at. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe we have $1,000 of FRAB, as some people call it.
That's a great question. I think that's accurate.
Is that before the season starts, and then another 1,000 for after?
That's a good. I think the commish might be alive in the chat. Commish, if you are you going to reset the fab? Let me shoot him a text as well. I think I might remember him saying that.
I did think I saw that in a text at some point, but would like to clarify before I start tossing out.
Yeah, that is correct. No, that's
guys once the draft ends.
He did confirm the fab will reset.
Okay, perfect. So once week one starts, fab is resetting. That is good to know.
Yep.
Hope everyone else in the league is catching a wind of that as well, and is able to. You know what? I take it back. Hope everyone in the league doesn't catch wind of that.
Yep.
That will be their fault if they are not paying attention.
I like your style, Ev. I mean, now that the first 3 rounds have passed, were there any guys that just slipped out of your fingers that you wanted on your team on Ginty's jurisdiction, or did you pretty much get everybody you wanted?
I do. I mean, it was tough at that 8 slot. That 108, I was hovering between the Egbuka and the Tyler Warren button.
Ooh.
It was considered that I would slide into a tight end position there. It was a tough one. I think Warren's a great tight end. Don't love the landing spot. Who knows how much longer Richardson's going to be the quarterback there. Feels like there's a lot of chitter chatter that Daniel Jones might end up beating him out at some point in this season. So I think that would be good for Warren's stock. I don't know if he's getting a lot of catches when Richardson's only completing 14 passes a game.
Nick Friedel hopped in the chat and said blasphemy. I think he took that one personal. Look, Friedel, don't blame Ev, brother. I mean, he made a great acquisition.
Strictly the messenger here. I'm just speaking of the whispers that I've been hearing on the Colts front with Richardson. A lot of rumors. I don't want to. I mean, I do have Daniel Jones on my team, so I don't want this to be any kind of internal tampering.
Fair.
Trying to talk the Colts into starting Daniel Jones to boost his stock, but I think it's a lot harder for these positional players on the Colts when their quarterback seems unable to get them the ball.
I think you're spot on, and Justin Locke there with kind of a bold strategy here. calling his own player trash that he spent 1.11 draft capital on. But hey,
that is a look.
That it's a choice. That's a way to welcome a guy to your team. But I mean, where are you at? Like, if there's one team out there that you hadn't mentioned, one owner you want to shout out. I mean, who's put together a performance that deserves an applause at least before the season started? I mean, who would you say?
I would. Let me take a look through this draft board. I think Kyle Lark might deserve a shout out. Not so much for the draft picks that he has made, but his willingness to sit with the value that was going to come to him. I heard a lot of chatter early on, people trying to prod at him to trade up and move into some value, but he stayed tough, stuck with this 112 pick, and also was able to trade for AJ Brown. I will say that came from my team. Who knows if that will be a smart trade on my end in the future. I was trying to get younger, was trying to move up in this draft in this first round. So I think there were some swaps, another first round taken for 2026. But Lark gets AJ Brown hit there. I believe I traded him to Lark. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes. Yep. That's spot on.
Yes. Perfect. I think the AJ Brown acquisition will be good for him. Moving into this season, I think it puts him as a contender. We'll see how it goes. I wouldn't mind if his team doesn't do well, as I do have him.
Brother Lark said thank you. Brother Lark said thank you. Just wanted to make sure you got that.
Perfect. Tell him he's welcome. We'll see how AJ does for him this year. I hope him the best as Brown leaves my team and moves on with his career. But how about you? Were there any other teams that you felt had a good draft, didn't have a good draft? I know there were some teams that didn't have a lot of picks in the first couple rounds, as me and you did combine for half of the first.
No, I mean, I think you're spot on. If I'm just looking at teams here, I mean, let's see. I mean, Gushing Farting has made some moves. He's pulled in 3 receivers. It wouldn't be at the top of my list, but I think he's done a good job. Let's see. I'm clicking through here. You know what? I like what Noah Furrow's doing over there in Santa Monica, California. I mean, he's got Cam Ward at the 1-4. It's great positional value. He brought in Jaden Higgins, a guy I'm high on, and he rounds it out with Devin Neal, who's going to be an RB2 in a backfield with an aging Kamara, who he has. It's been a heads up day here for Furrow. So I think I'd cap out.
Not a lot of trades coming from that camp as well. He does hold all 4 of his picks this year, and I believe into the future. He's kind of ventures away from trading draft capital and just stays with his spots. Doesn't want to move any picks and try to get his guys.
No, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. We have one more member wanting to call in here, Ed. I mean, do you have any messages you want to leave with the chat here? We can get you back in, maybe round this thing out at the end. But anything you want to let these guys know? I mean, there's 7 of them in the chat before we bring in our next guest. But any final words for you here?
No, I think I want to give Steph a shout out too. I know he might have been yanking my chain earlier, but I love the Bashal Tootin, Jaden Blue picks. I want him to just know that if he tries to joke around again, there's no fucking time for that.
Yep.
We're not fucking around here at Genty's jurisdiction. This is a high class, top level establishment, and we are going to be moving into this season with the most motivation, enthusiasm, and momentum. So with that, I'd like to say thank you for having me on. It was a great time, and I will be tuning in for the show and our next caller.
Oh, thank you, Ev. Man, thanks for joining. An absolute masterclass you put on today. We're gonna bring on the next guest, brother, but we'll get you back on in no time. All right.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
All right, you too, brother. We got another guest, wanting to get on the line here. A guy who's really, had his work cut out for him in this draft, in this offseason, made a lot of moves. We're gonna call in. We're gonna call in and see what he's got to offer the show. Of course, shoot me a text if you want to get on. Again, guys, it doesn't. If you got a grievance to air here, I'd love to give you the chance to do it. I'm just stirring the pot. If you got something to say, let me know. But we got Justin Locklear here, straight out of Disco Bay, the commish himself. I mean, what do you got?
I mean, I figured I'd have to do my due diligence and tap in with the show you got going on today. I mean, big day for the meat market.
Huge.
As the fellow commissioner, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone. Big efforts getting put in left and right. We had guys making trades that hadn't pulled up the trade calculators in over 10 months. All right.
Jeez.
So you see what happens in these rookie drafts, and maybe that'll help everyone, kind of see the guidelines and connect the dots of what it takes to maybe contend. I don't want to, toot my own horn too much. I'm already a villain in this league, but I want everyone to take a moment and realize, the efforts that I'm doing, filling in rosters for other teams. All right. Now, yes, you're scratching my back, but best believe I've been scratching yours too. Specifically Brandon Hines.
Brandon Hines.
I got a text message today after I committed a trade. One of the league members said that's the worst trade they've ever seen in their life. Now, neither here nor there what manager sent me that, but you know who you are if you're watching.
Wow. I mean, this is a platform where you can air your grievances. It's up to you. I'll fall out. What do you got?
I would like to actually pick your brain on a move that was made earlier. I know you're a Tetairoa McMillan guy, so I know which side you're leaning on, but Tetairoa McMillan and Devontae Smith, and I acquired Drake London and the 207. Now, before you give me your take, I turned that 207 into the 2026 second pick and a 2026 third round pick. What are your thoughts on that? You think Tetairoa McMillan's going to be a top 10 dynasty receiver?
I mean, could his market value peak at top 10 during one offseason of his career? I think it's possible. But I think what you got is a solid deal. I don't think anybody lost here. You're in the camp of needing him to just be a Drake London. So you traded him for the real thing. I think that was a good move. You acquired more draft capital. It's all about draft capital. Who knows what you can flip that for in an open market next year. And look, you got to remember, a lot of the guys in next year's class are quarterbacks. Might push a lot of the back end, the running backs, receivers to the back end of that draft, maybe even to the second round. Getting into the second round is not a terrible thing either. But the Brandon Lorians, he's quietly I'm just now looking at his roster. He's acquired Omarion Hampton, McMillan, Ayumanor, Will Howard, Kyle Williams. I mean, he's the Brandon Lorian has cooked today. Well, what are your thoughts?
Definitely that would be the case. I mean, I would say weeks ago, me and Brandon were talking and we made a move so he could move up into that 103. Where I thought maybe I'd shake up the draft right there and he'd take Cam Ward, which would, push some stock backwards. But nonetheless, Noah Furrow decided to take Cam Ward at the 4. And that put a wrench into my draft plans, to say the least. I like the value I got. I mean, ended up with Drake London and then Tyler Warren. I'm not a big Tyler Warren fanatic, all right? I haven't really joined the bandwagon, but I don't really have a choice anymore,
Someone's got to bang the drum.
I got to go buy a drum because I got to be banging it. I mean, as we speak, I got Tyler Warren highlights on my TV screen. I don't know what I'm looking at, all right?
Well, you're breaking down tape. You're breaking down tape.
Is this young Gronkowski or Kyle Juszczyk? I don't really know.
I don't know if Kyle Lark's here, but how many? I mean, you don't got to tell me for what, but if I set the over under at 3.5 text messages from Kyle Lark to you today involving players, would I be, would that be a good line, or am I too low on that?
If you set that line thinking that you're referring to first round picks or second round picks, it'd be the under.
Wow.
Kyle Lark has been hitting my line a little bit and quite often, for some later round picks. I think he's got his eyes on some guys in this late tail end of the draft.
Kyle, he's the guy who loves to shop on a discount, and I think he might have something up his sleeve. He might have hit up another owner in this league that I know personally towards the tail end of that third round. It makes you wonder, is he hungry still? Is he itching? Is there a guy out there that he would like to add to his roster? It's interesting as we round to the fourth.
The thing I gotta, you just gotta kind of tip your cap to Kyle Lark. He shot me a text earlier when we got a trade done, and it was next year's second and third for Cam Scatabo. All right, and you could say he overpaid, but I mean, he believes in his guys. I think some people in this league should take notes on, being decisive on the players you want. So some managers think, maybe I want this guy. Maybe I don't know if that's a good deal. Why you want to do this deal with me? You must be winning. How about you just know where the cards lie for yourself? All right.
I mean, I think you're spot on. Who left in this draft? I mean, do you have any fourth? You have no fourth, so I mean, you can give us a little intel, right? Or maybe you save him for if he falls off the board. Is there? I think there's a couple who we all know won't fall off the board. I mean, if you were picking, how about I do this? If you were picking next for Garrett Meyer, what would you do for his team?
Let's pull up Meyer's team. Meyer's been on the clock for 30 minutes now. I think he must be making a pit stop to Chipotle. I don't know what his deal is. Meyer's done some real retooling. He's got Travis Kelce. About 75 years old. Picked up Mason Taylor in the second. I think he thinks he filled that spot. He needs receivers. I mean, if you look at the guy's roster, he picked up. Did you see the Jaden Reed trade that went down earlier today?
I did see that.
Can we quickly touch on that, or should we just act like it didn't happen?
No. I'd love to hear this Jaden Reed trade. Hold on, let me pull up the transaction here.
It's going to be Najee Harris.
Yep.
In the 212 for Jaden Reed. I
mean, break that down. What is the layman eye missing here? Who won this trade in your book?
Whoever got Jaden Reed is what I'm thinking.
I mean, you're watching Andrew Lascano maneuver through this draft. What would be your advice? What would be your, if you could say anything to Andrew Lascano right now, what would you say?
I think, he was a deer in the headlights. He came in this draft with Slim the Nun Pickens. He had like a 306, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he sees all this stuff going on today. It was a wild morning, People are texting in the chat. Dog was doing breakdowns. You're running a live stream.
Yeah.
People are trading blockbusters left and right. He says, I want a piece of the action.
Yeah, true.
And I think sometimes when you get caught in the crosshairs of, trying to get into the action when you don't necessarily have anything to give, you lose. And, Najee Harris competing with Omarion Hampton. I think the bigger thing to take away from this is with that 212, he turned into Dylan Sampson.
I mean,
That's where I'm scratching my head.
On paper, this draft might not have played out exactly how Harry Bushwhacker and company, envisioned. I don't know how many times they mocked. What I will say, the silver lining here is you picked up a young man named Jalen Knoll in the third round at the 3-5. I think Knoll slid a little far. I thought he was a into the second round guy. Kyle Lark also said, let's go. He appreciates the shout out, to his team and what he's building over there. Anything on what Riley Gary's kind of gone through here? Any projections for what position he might be targeting with that 411?
I mean, with the 411, huh? I don't think Riley Gary tends to care about what's on the board at 4-11. This is a team that I broke it down in the analysis. He went all in for this year.
Yeah, he did.
All right. If you pull up his roster, I mean, it's loaded with vets. It's got a couple young players sprinkled around, but I mean, just rewind the clock a couple months. He sold me as 109 and worthy to acquire Derrick Henry and Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, that just screams him going in. Derrick Henry?
The Derrick Henry move was certainly a choice. You know, when you're adding a 32-year-old running back, there's a few questions. Is he 32?
I understand it. I mean, the Yeti's going to fall into the end zone at least 10 times.
Right.
I totally get the purchase, but for longevity purposes, I don't think he's worried about that. I think he's got tunnel vision, and he wants to hoist up that trophy come this winter.
He did make an aggressive move for a player on my roster by the name of Michael Pittman. When you're looking at what Riley Gary's building, you can critique it, you can talk about what it isn't, but I'll tell you what it is. It's a roster that's built for right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow. Well, maybe partially yesterday, but also right now. All right, he's building up something special. Any motivation for Riley Gary? Anything you want to whisper in his ear before he's picking there at the 4-11?
I mean, take a dart throw here, Riley Gary. I mean, you got to shoot for the moon, all right? Remember, you're drafting a 21, 22-year-old, and who knows what's going to happen. You basically just got a scratcher. You just got a $10 scratcher, pretty much. You know, when I ask for the buy-ins come a couple weeks, it's going to be a $200 scratcher, but let's not think about that. Just to boost Riley Gary up a little more, he's got J.J. McCarthy on his taxi.
Don't sleep on that. I love what he's building. Like, people are sleeping on what he's building. I think they're looking at the average age a little too much. He's got some pieces.
I'm going to name some names and just tell me what you think, okay?
All right, hit me with it.
Trey Benson, James Conner, Javonte Williams, Tank Bigsby, Joshua Downs, J.J. McCarthy.
Is that Riley Gary's bench right now?
That's Riley Gary's bench. That's probably one of the best benches in this league.
I mean, J.J. McCarthy's upsides through the – I think, again, Riley Gary is assembling something I think people need to start to take note of. I'm with you 100%.
He's got positional dominance in the likes of Trey McBride, Jalen Hurts at the top of his roster. Now, the Mike Evans-Tyreek situation at wide receiver 1 and 2, it sounds great for September. Now, come next September, we'll see. Maybe Tyreek lands somewhere that's more enticing. Still will be 31 years old. But for right now, I mean, he's putting fear in a former champion in myself, because I know he's bringing his best to me every time we match up.
Riley Gary on his best day can punch with the best of them in this league. And I think that's what people need to write down in their notebooks, on their big boards. If you need bulletin board material, that's what you got to put down, because you come into a slobber knocker with Riley Gary, you might get your teeth knocked out. What do you got for Chief Steve, man? I mean, he's wide receiver. You acquired 2 running backs in the draft, Bashal Tootin and Jaden Blue. I mean, where are you at with those 2 picks?
I might have underrated Chief Steve's war room. I don't know what running backs were at the top of his list and what order, or who he thought would land in there at the 2-3. But I knew he was going to take a running back nonetheless. Now, he didn't take Scatabo, which I was kind of shocked. I thought he was a Scatabo guy. Bashal Tootin, the combine sweetheart, I like the landing spot. I mean, there's a lot of competition. Trevor Etienne's on a contract year. Who knows what happens out there? Liam Cohen, Gladstone.
Wait, real quick, Kamish, we got something from the chat for you. Noah Furrow wants to know potential increases in buy-in amount. He's heard rumors. He's heard rumors, but it could be intriguing for some owners. So he's heard. I mean, any increase to the buy-in, anything, going around here in Furrow's world that might be legit, or what can you tell the chat?
I was trying to keep everything under wraps. There must be some leaks out there in the community, but I was going to wait till the draft, went through, and then the fab tomorrow, people bid on the way. And then maybe, after some summer camp madness starts, I bring it up because I know we're all big boys now.
Yep.
And this league is taking off more than I could imagine. And I knew I got a good group of guys, but today I realized I got a great group of guys. And hey, if we want to pay more to get in, we can pay more to get in. But it's going to be hard to convince the Harry Bushwhackers of the world to pay some more dollars, because those are donations at this point.
Well, a lot of people, if I were to throw a bone in the corner, the Harry Bushwhacker, you don't count. He's still got a 412 on the table.
Well, I'm not counting him out. As long as the CJ and Nico Collins stack exists, there's a little bit of hope over there. I mean, I'm looking at his roster. He still has Sam Laporta, who was coming off a slower year last year. Maybe some would say lackluster. Ben Johnson out of town. I mean, who knows what's going to happen over there? It's the Keenan Allen and the Rico Dowdle in the starting lineup that kind of has me scratching my head. But who knows? Maybe Najee is something. I mean, you picked him up today. He's got Chris Olave in his IR spot.
I do want to point out that Harry Bushwhacker did trade a 1.5 for Chris Olave. Thoughts on that? I mean, just how is that trade aged? If you're looking at, I mean, I know hindsight's 20/20. Everybody wants to take shots at people when they make a bad move, but is there anything there that the Bushwhacker can rest his hat on at the end of the day, or?
Something I try to live by in this league, being in multiple leagues, it gets tough, but you got to leave your fanhood at the door, all right? You got to leave your fanhood at the door. And when you're, punching the drum for Ohio State every day, national champions, might I may add, congratulations, Harry Bushwhacker, but you can't go out there and just give an arm and a leg for a guy because he used to wear a jersey you liked, Are you a Saints fan?
I'm a Saints fan. Yep.
No, and the Ohio State days are over. So to give the 105 for someone who probably has, Antonio Brown level CTE at this point, it's hard. It's really hard.
I think what you've done in the back end of this draft's been underrated. I mean, you got Luther Burden at the 2-2, Tyler Shuck at the 3-12. That's a guy who's going to start a game at least at quarterback next year that you're getting basically in the 4th round. Can you school up some of the guys in this league on why that was the right pick?
I'll tell you one thing. I'm not a big Tyler Shuck guy, but like I said, I leave all that at the door when I come into this league. I'm thinking value. Okay.
Thoughts on changing the team name to Shuckold?
I'll tell you what. If he starts his first game and wins, we can circle that. We can circle back to that name. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities for the name of Shuck,
Right. No, that's true. That's true.
But at 312, I mean, it's just immense value for a starter that we could see, this fall. I mean, and let me just add on, if you're a Todd McShay guy, or this Todd McShay, this is one of his guys, and I'm not gonna lie, Todd McShay has been on a heater lately with the takes.
That's true.
Call it for what it is.
I mean, while I've got you here, can I ask you about, there's been one team in this draft who's had a slew of picks. I mean, it's yours truly. Can you break down what I've done in the draft here? And I'll jog your memory real quick. I went Travis Hunter, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, Matthew Golden, Jalen Milroe, Shedeur Sanders, Harold Fannin. I mean, what you say it so I don't have to. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're filling in a lot of holes, right? You got a lot of holes over there. I mean, the startup wasn't the best, but like I said in the analysis, you took a hard look in the mirror and you realized what you had to do, and you went out and got it done. Now, trading away Caleb Williams, I mean, who knows what happens with that? But you went out, you acquired Justin Fields, filled that QB2 spot for the rookie draft. I mean, you just took what the board gave you. I like the pick in Matthew Golden specifically. Maybe we could talk about something in the future for that guy, but we'll table that for now. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr., Rashee Rice, Penix, Fields, you can build around those guys. You got Swift lingering around. Who knows if the Bears sign a Nick Chubb or a J.K. Dobbins? Who knows what happens over there? But right now, Swift's RB1. So.
Yeah, Caleb Johnson, Quinshon, Shedeur Sanders. I mean,
I like all those names. I mean, I was shocked you didn't go Shedeur and Tyler Shuck back to back.
I considered taking that in, but that would have been 4 quarters. That would have been 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, But my thing is, you got Njoku and you took a shot on Fanning. So what's your plan there? You kind of just want to see how the chips fall?
Yeah, I got Shador and Fannin. That could, it's a lottery ticket, but that could be something. I got Travis Hunter and BTJ. I think it's actually good insurance. When you got BTJ, it's like having a Ferrari, and you don't want to have a Ferrari with no insurance, right? So I think Travis Hunter is the perfect insurance policy, and I think people are going to be surprised when they realize Travis Hunter becomes the wide receiver one over there in Jacksonville. So that was my plan there.
I got a question. What are your hopes, maybe potential ceiling for a guy like Michael Penix?
He could be the black Jared Goff. I think that's reasonable. Or he could be Tua Tagovailoa. Either way, I got a startable player. And then I took a Justin Fields, a Joe Milton, a Shador Sanders. These are more ceiling plays, right? There's no floor there. The floor is in hell for those players, but the ceiling for where you got them is, limitless in many respects. I'm just curious if Kyle Lark's in the chat. Kyle Lark, could you grade the commission's draft strategy here while he's here, just so he could hear it from the horse's mouth?
While we're waiting on Lark to get back with that response, I got a question I kind of want to pick your brain on. A team by the name Trust the Process, Noah Furrow. Now, none of us had him pinpointed to take Cam Ward at the 4. What is his plan long term? Is he looking at Patrick Mahomes at almost 30 years old thinking, I got to figure that out eventually? Or is he just saying, value's on the board, I'm going to take it?
I think Furrow plays – he doesn't outsmart himself. I think that's his strength. That's been his strength throughout this process. So I think he saw Cam Ward at the 1-4, said, you know what, positional value, upside. Again, I'm going to keep banging this drum. Cam Ward is just as talented as Caleb Williams. He is. It's true. And if you put Cam Ward in Chicago, he would absolutely light it up. I don't know if he's ever going to have that kind of crew around him, but, don't sleep on our boy Xavier Restrepo or on Alec Ayumanor. That division's dog shit. And so who knows? Maybe Cam Ward can put something together. Who thought Jaden Daniels was going to do what he did last year?
Fair point. And then I'm looking at his second pick. He kept his picks. Probably the only guy in this league that truly kept his actual given picks. The 104, 204, 304, so have it. So stays in the 204, no movement. Trust his process, and takes Jaden Higgins. I like the pick myself.
It's a brilliant pick.
And it comes around the 3-4, and I think this is where he kind of, started to wise up even more. He goes out and grabs Devin Neal. Now, on paper, that might not sound like the greatest pick at 304. But you go look at his roster, he's got Alvin Kamara. The guy's thinking ahead, all right?
Noah Furrow has put on a masterclass, and he did it in a way that was traditional, very conservative, very straightforward and to the point. No 40-minute time between picks. It was just methodical, and it was surgical. And then you contrast that with something like Garrett Meyer, and you wonder which one's going to pay off in the long term, and which one pays off in the interim.
Right, Meyer's kind of a gimme, I want it now type of guy. Kind of getting antsy. You can smell the championship. Noah Furrow's more like, well, if I make it, I know why, and if I don't, I'll fix it. That's kind of just what you get with both of them.
No, I completely agree. It's been a great day. There's been a lot of people talking about grades and who's done what. I might have pushed some misinformation around for a while, but at the end of the day, we won't know until September. We just won't. But if you had to predict whose rookie class is going to be most impactful, and you can leave me out of it because I don't have a starting lineup at all.
Let me pull up the. I gotta pull it up so I can take a look at everyone's draft. We got me. I don't know. Evan Dodgen is just, I would say between you and Evan Dodgen, maybe because you guys had the most dart throws in total, the most picks in this draft, I liked what Lark did with only 2 picks.
Surgical.
Scatterbo and Loveland. I mean, I like that. I like what Brandon did. That's the thing about this time of the year, though. All these guys look great. All these guys look promising. And then September rolls around. You're like, what the fuck did I do? So
It's true.
I could sit here and blow smoke all day long, but when it's all said and done, we won't know until about week 8. All right.
Garrett Meyer chimed in and said, any thoughts on early off-season playoff projections? I mean, if you had to go with your top 6 teams in this league, your early power rankings, your preseason power rankings, who do you got?
Okay, I would. I'd give Riley Gary the 1 spot.
Wow, the heavyweight champ.
Right. You gotta give credit where it's due. He's all in.
He's got a juggernaut.
If I stay healthy, I got absolutely no depth. But if I stay healthy, I'd put me in the 2 spot. Okay.
Okay.
I'm looking at Garrett Meyer's roster, and I think that's why he was fishing for this one. I'm putting Meyer in the 3 spot with that roster.
Wow, equipo to LJ, however you say it.
I got 3 more people to go. So we got Lark, myself, Equipo del LJ. Fucking crazy name, Garrett. And then we got. I'm gonna give it to Friedel.
Wow.
We got neighbors and Bowers. I gotta give him the 4 spot. And then my 5 and 6 people to sneak in the playoffs. I'm going Gushing and Farton because he just always finds a way. I'm sure he's 10 trades away till September. So who knows what happens?
By hook or by crook.
And then with the 6th spot, see, this could be a team that just rebuilt this offseason, And I'm looking at the Brandalorian.
Wow.
And if things turn right, he could sneak into this playoff.
Very interesting. I mean, he's got Xavier Worthy. He's got some pieces that with Devontae Smith, Cole Kmet. I know
I'm gonna give the Brandalorian the honorable mention, and for the 6th spot, I'm gonna give Kyle Lark credit where it's due.
Wow. Yeah, Kyle Lark is, Noah Furrow doesn't really, I don't think he appreciates much. He's sleeping on his team, in his opinion. I mean, any sentiment for Furrow here? I like what he's building. But what do you think?
I like what his camp is doing. It's just when I look at the receiving core and I compare it to some of these other teams that I mentioned.
That's true.
Besides Garrett Meyer, Meyer's a running back heavy, and he's got about 6 running backs if you include Lamar Jackson. So I'm looking at Furrow and I'm thinking it just really comes down to what the likes of George Pickens and Jerry Jeudy and Jamison Williams.
The ceiling on this team is phenomenal, but the floor is also.
The boom weeks are insane, but not everyone's looking for the weekly high score payout. Some people want to hoist that trophy up, and I think Noah's going to get paid out a few weeks. He's going to get his buy-in back. I probably could guarantee you that.
I think you're right. I mean, Jamison Williams, Pickens, Jeudy, that team. You play that team on the wrong week, he could 50 pop you.
And I'd just like to mention that's why I've tried to make efforts to design this league in a way where you don't have to win the championship. You could win 4 weekly high score payouts and you just free roll the season. So for teams like Noah Furrow, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Just another free roll going into next year.
I mean, you look at a team like what Twang's building over there. What's your advice to a Tyler Hwang here as he approaches this offseason in year 2, coming off the heels of a Super Bowl loss? I mean, what do you got for him?
I cannot put my finger on what goes on in management over there, but if he was in the championship last year, he was in the championship. I mean, you got George Kittle lingering. You got good backs. You got Montgomery, Jacobs, Joe Mixon. Just picked up Tyrone Tracy for a discount today.
What about that Tyrone Tracy deal, huh?
I mean, maybe Friedell's in the camp of a Scatterbo's taking the position, but Tyler doesn't think so. I mean, Tyrone Tracy, only 25 years old, former receiver, turned running back. I think he's just getting his footing in the league. I think Tracy could take over that role or maintain that role, and Scatabo comes in on downs here and there. But I guess my main concern for Tracy would be, is he going to get red zone carries?
I mean, you bring up a good question.
I'm putting Scatabo in at the 5-yard line every goddamn time. If you put that tape on, he's not letting a one-man tackle him. So
can I pick your brain on now we've talked a lot about the draft. Have there been any players cut off of rosters that, you don't have to name names, but was there anybody that, you saw drop that you thought, oh, that was interesting? Or, I mean, where are you at in that world?
Well, I'll just call it how I see it. I mean, I think about 6 hours ago, Noah Furrow decided, I'm going to draft Cam Ward, then I'm going to drop Treylon Burks. I don't know what that says, but I think it says something.
If you could make any projections in the offseason, do you have Noah Furrow maybe packaging up 2 of these wide receiver 2s and going and getting himself a blue chipper like Brian Thomas Jr.?
I don't want to spill too much of the beans here live, but I've been asking for some of those receivers for months. All right, my camp's fatiguing over here trying to figure it out. All right. Garrett Wilson.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I said Garrett Wilson, new quarterback. I mean, who knows? Maybe he lives up to the potential. But a guy like George Pickens, it's a crapshoot, man. You don't know which George you're going to get on Sunday. Jerry Jeudy, who's throwing him the ball? I mean, some would say Shedeur, some would say Kenny Pickett. A lot of other people would say Dylan Gabriel. But no one's saying Joe Flacco. That's my issue. Because if Joe Flacco's throwing the ball to Jerry Jeudy could be top 15.
That's true. There's truth to that. I mean, could I pick your brain on the guy who's on my bench? A guy I was really high on last year. I was banging the drum, and people were calling me crazy, what did he do at Michigan? What did he do at Tennessee? And this has just been a golden ticket that I've just been holding on to for a while. Tell us about Joe Milton, Joe Rilla, Joey Dallas, Snowy Joey. Tell us about Joe Milton. What do you got on Milton?
I like Joe Milton as a concept. I like him in theory. Now, what Jerry Jones wants to do with that organization, I couldn't figure out since I was born in 97. So I don't really know what's in store for Joe Milton, but I know if he sees the field, he's hucking that rock to CeeDee Lamb, okay? And for the CD owner, I think that's cheap Steve. I'd be fine if Dak went down. I'd be fine if Dak was traded because I know Joe Milton, the bazooka, is feeding him the rock. I think it's a good lottery ticket. I mean, just like this draft. I mean, if this draft rolled around again from the top, where would Joe Milton fall? He'd probably fall in the late second.
I think you're right. I mean, when Will Howard goes 3-7, you got to ask yourself, man, was Joe Milton underdrafted last year?
And off the top of my head, now that you mentioned that, did the Brandalorian make that pick?
The Brandalorian. He did go Will Howard there at the 3-7. I mean, Will Howard before Tyler Shuck. Some people would ask, maybe, this is an unconventional maneuver. What do you got for the Brandalorian when you're evaluating how he's assessed quarterback talent so far?
I think the Will Howard pick stems from maybe the Josh Allen light comparisons that the internet's giving him. I think also it may stem from he's a champion. Will Howard went out there and he won a championship. In college football. So Tyler Shuck, 25 years old, hasn't played a lot of games, was injured. Played for a smaller school. I can see where you could convince yourself to take Will Howard, but I think the main point is Will Howard got the best landing spot out of all these quarterbacks. All right.
He's technically in the battle for the starting quarterback job in Pittsburgh as of today. Aaron Rodgers is not there.
As of today, their QB room is Will Howard, Mason Rudolph, and Skylar Thompson. All right. Now, Skylar Thompson played in a playoff game not too long ago, if anyone remembers. Did not go well, but I don't hate the Will Howard pick. I think it's more of a team need, and that's why he reached there. I mean, I'm looking at his roster right now, and I know I had him as my honorable mention to make the playoffs, but he's going to have to figure out that super flex spot because he's got Gardner Minshew sitting there right now.
Minced garlic. Yeah, I mean, Minshew's a player in the space of quarterback twos, but, it'll be interesting to see what the good brother Brandalorian does here. I mean, were you surprised Jalen Milroe fell to the third round?
My war room was frantic during this time period. Now I didn't necessarily have a pick there because I traded away the 207, to acquire more capital. But I was thinking, do I take Milroe here? And I looked at my roster and I said, I'm just not a team that needs to wait on Milroe, I don't think, So I went and traded for the capital. I think that's maybe the degeneracy that's in my blood for trades in the future. But I tell you, in my other league, I took Milroe early. I took Milroe in the 205. Okay, that's because my team needed it. And if all things hit right for Milroe, I mean, he's Justin Fields or better. So who knows what happens there?
Hey man, I mean, this has been a jam. We've been on the clock here for a bit. Looks like I'm up. I didn't even realize Garrett Meyer put in a pick. The pick is in. Garrett Meyer takes Ollie Gordon, running back. Ollie Gordon was charged with a DUI earlier in the year. I mean, any advice here for Ollie Gordon off the field to make sure he sees his potential on Garrett Meyer's roster?
Ollie Gordon, 2023, we thought he was going to be Omarion Hampton in this draft. And then 2024 season came out, he kind of fell off the mountaintop there. I think this stems from Garrett's kind of, questionable take on Devon Chain. I know because I'm holding A-Chain and, been through the ringer about that. But neither here nor there. Ollie Gordon, and at this point in the draft, you just got to get your guys. Be willing to fall on a sword and be okay with it.
I completely agree. I completely agree. It is my pick. Do you have any guesses for where I'm going here before I make this pick?
Let me pull up the good old draft. I got no more picks left, so I haven't been in draft for a while. Based on your needs, I know you like taking shots on the receivers. I think you're gonna scroll down. I got two in mind. I think you're gonna.
Oh, you motherfucker! All right, say it.
I think you're gonna scroll down, and either you're gonna go Savion Williams, or you're gonna go one of the many Colorado receivers.
Wow. No, you know what? That is an interesting assessment of what I may or may not do. Savion Williams, I'm not going to say too much about Savion Williams at this moment in time, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do here. There's two guys on the board that are calling my name. One of them is Elijah Arroyo. Now, I'm sure this guy's getting picked up before the end of the draft, so I'm just going to give you the skinny on Elijah Arroyo. 6'4", 250. I mean, he moves like a wide receiver. It took him a little while to get going at Miami, but once he got going, boy, was he hard to stop. He played with Cam Ward. He's in Seattle. He's getting comped to Noah Fant. Elijah Arroyo in the fourth round is an absolute player. But, I'm leaning with my guy, a guy that I think is just an animal in the open field.
Is it a running back?
It's a running back. Go ahead. Why don't you say
Smith.
It's Brashard Smith, running back, converted receiver from Miami to SMU. Brashard Smith, welcome to the team.
Wow. I didn't scroll far enough down to find him, but I would have guessed that for sure.
Yeah.
Kansas City Chief, I think he's going to have a Jerick McKinnon type role for this Chief offense.
How dare you? No. In all seriousness, that's a fair assessment. I think he could be McKinnon with just a touch more juice. I mean, what do you think about that?
I mean, if you scroll back, go back into the future and look at what was happening in fantasy leagues 2 or 3 years ago, Jerick McKinnon was getting started in the flex spot. All right, he was yielding about 5 receptions a game. So I think if John Smith is anywhere near Jerick McKinnon, there's some juice there. We got the 4-3 already off the board. He was waiting.
It's your boy, Michael Jordan James. I mean, can you talk about Steve's strategy here, picking up Jordan James, running back out of Oregon?
Earlier I said leave your fanhood at the door when you get into the draft. And for this pick, I see the Niner fan, taking a shot on this guy. But at the same time, I freaking love this pick. You got CMC who went overseas to get a bionic leg, okay? They're filling him up with stem cell, all right? So Jordan James has an opportunity here with Isaac Guerrero getting injured, a couple of months ago. Who knows what happens with the former Louisville running back? I like Jordan James.
I think you're absolutely right. Nevin Dodgen throws out a great point here. Noah getting sniped again. I mean, Chief Steve has been torturing Noah Furrow. But what I will say about this is I love how Noah Furrow has responded. He's responded with Cam Ward, Jaden Higgins, Devin Neal. And if I'm honest, I love what Steve's built over there, wide receiver U. But if I was grading the draft today, granted, no one's played it down, I might give Furrow the edge depending on what he does here. And if I was picking for Furrow, I'm just going to tell him. I'm going to tell him I have enough of these shares. If I was picking for Furrow, I would heavily consider the playmaker out of TCU by the name of Savion Williams.
Some have comped him to Cordell Patterson, low-end comp, Laviska Shenault. But when Matt LaFleur goes out and grabs 2 more receivers to add to the room, you got to sit back and think, is Romeo Dobbs' future over, in Green Bay? And is Jaden Reed, just going to sit in the slot, as a part-time player? What's really going on? I think Wicks dropped a few too many passes last year. I mean, his separation, the route running is immaculate, but he can't catch the goddamn ball. So who knows what Savion has in store out there in Green Bay?
I mean, I completely agree. And if you're a team like Nick Friedel, again, a guy who's maybe, I don't want to say he's played it safe. I don't know if that's saying the right thing. I'm certainly not taking a shot. I love what he's built over there. But, he's a guy who's maybe found himself on the tough side of the way, this draft's laid out. So, if you're Nick Friedel and you're talking positions here, what would you encourage Nick Friedel to look at? He's gone R.J. Harvey, Jack Bess, Jarquez Hunter. I mean, sitting here with the 4-9, what's your advice for Friedel? What position should he consider?
I would say Jarquez Hunter probably would have fell back to you at the 4-9. I'm not sure if anyone's as tapped in as you are on that player. I like the pick. I understand your thought process behind that one. But at the 4-9, I mean, I would stay away from doing team needs. I would just go get the guy with the highest ceiling. That's what everyone needs to do here in the 4th round. You take your dart throw, you scratch that scratcher, and you pray to God you got 10 apples, all right, and you cash that in. You know what I'm saying? So Nick Friedel sitting at the 4-9, I mean, who knows what he's going to end up doing. My question is, I just realized this, Chief Steve is back on the clock after this pick. All right.
He's been accumulating 4th. So, I mean, what are you expecting here? Are you expecting fireworks or are we going another running back? I mean, holy shit, this guy want to leave any for the rest of us?
That's what I was about to say. I think this is the moment he kind of strays away from the draft strategy. He got his 3 backs, Fingers crossed one of them hit for him. He's got Tony Pollard over there. I don't even know his other running back. So I think after Noah makes his pick, Chief Steve is going to be looking at a receiver, if I'm not mistaken.
I've got some. I'm done throwing out names just in case, but I've got some ideas about where he might be going in terms of receiver, what players might be catching his eye. I mean, I see the green dots on for Steve, so he's certainly waiting for Furr to go ahead and make this pick. But I think that tells you a little bit about the state of his war room. I don't know if today he got his guy or not. Maybe he did. Who am I to say? But for a guy who had a ton of draft capital here in the offseason, I know he did add CeeDee Lamb. That was a blockbuster. But have you been surprised by the way Furrow's approached this offseason, I guess, with the amount of draft capital he had?
You're referring to Chief Steve's draft capital, correct?
Yes. There was a time in which I believe he had 3 picks.
Well, when you have the juggernaut receivers that Stefan is currently sitting on, I mean, you kind of sit back and say, I just need one running back to hit. If I get one running back to hit and these receivers stay healthy, I mean, he's got Drake May and Jared Goff. That's 2 great quarterbacks for Superflex, and we're betting on Drake May taking the step. But with Vrabel now in town, Kyle Williams, they bring in Travion Anderson. I mean, an offensive tackle that will die for his team, quote unquote. So,
well, we don't need you to die out there, Will Campbell. We need you to fucking not get your ass put into the quarterback's lap, all right? So how about you kick step and make sure that fucking Jalen Carter doesn't eat your face?
God damn it, he'll die on that feeling, all right? So Chief Steve's sitting there, in the next pick. He's got to – I got to think he's going receiver here. I mean, I'm looking at the receiver board, and I don't have any picks left, but hell, I might get on the horn and try to move in here.
I think again, I won't say any names, but I think there's a couple guys I'm aware of you going after here. With the amount of draft capital I've seeked out, I'm not going to get them. But I will say PDB, and if you know, you know. I think I know where you're going here. But
Dez?
Dez is in play 88. We'll just call him 88. 88, I feel like, is in play for you. I don't want to give up too much here. But is that accurate?
there's no way that 88 makes it out of this fourth round. And if he does,
Are you sure?
I'm unloading the fab. Let me tell you something about that kid. All right, the tape may not be great, but goddamn, the situation is. All right, so. There's also another receiver here that has quite a bit more draft capital than the rest of the guys in this area. Now, I'm not a believer or a disbeliever in this kid, but hey, man, draft capital is draft capital. I don't know what you believe in. Arroyo's still on the board. There's another tight end I like on the board.
I know who you're eyeing up there, and
looking at the running backs. I mean, all these guys are one injury away from getting some carries. Looking at the quarterbacks, this is where my stomach starts to hurt a little bit. But I mean, who fucking knows? You got Brock Purdy going to the NFC Championship, you know?
I mean, your boy. Actually, I can't say it. Never mind. I wish we could. I wish there was tape delay on this thing because there are some interesting prospects. I'd love to kind of shout out and project here. I'll leave it at this. There's some talent out there on the board if you know what you're looking for. Any advice to any of these managers picking here from 4-4 to 4-12 on how to approach this? I mean, what should they be looking for? What would you whisper in their ear?
I'll give some advice and then I'll get out of here. Okay, my advice for the remainder of this draft for all you managers have one pick left, in the fourth. You need a dart throw. You got 4 hours on the clock, brother. Go watch the film, all right? I know a lot of you guys don't know these guys' names. You're on Google right now searching it up. Matthew Berry's telling you who to pick. Fuck Matthew Berry, all right? Go on YouTube, pull up the film, all right? Don't listen to Matthew Berry or Todd McShay or Field Yates or all these fucking clowns, all right? Listen to your gut, all right? Because at this point, it doesn't fucking matter anymore. It's all chance.
Hey, man. I mean, it's been a hell of a stream, man. We'll see what happens. We'll see how this all plays out. But a phenomenal league you've put together here, Kamish. A great group of guys. A lot of guys who know their way around the draft boards and the waiver wires. So thank you for all your work.
One more thing before I get out of here, because I got to self-plug myself. If anyone's looking for Tyler Warren, all right, hit my line.
I mean, you got Tyler Warren. Is Tyler Shuck available as well? Ask him for a friend.
Like always, fellas, everything's always for sale. Just hit my line, all right? Phone lines are open till midnight. Everyone have a great day.
Everyone have a great day, fellas. It's been awesome. I'm going to pull up the Kamish's roster real quick just so you can see in real time what he's working with. Let him know if you need a pick, he's, hey, if you need a pick, if you need a player, let him know. Kamish, thank you. We're going to wrap this up, boys.
Yep, have a good one.
You too.